Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to part 10 of the Nintendo Red Tent restoration. That's right, this is the final and last video of this series. We're gonna finally put this thing together. And just like before when we took this thing down, my buddy Scott's here to help out. Say hi, Scott.
Hello.
So without further ado, I'm gonna set this camera up and let's get rolling. Okay, we are done. Finally. It's been over 6 months since I first got this thing, and I think this is probably the longest restoration I've ever done. But you know, it's a night and day difference. When I got this thing, if you recall, the thing looked way different. I mean, you could hardly recognize it as a red tent other than the shape. It was painted gray and black. It was all beat up. It was missing probably half the parts it needed. So let me tell you, I am so pleased with how this turned out, especially given what I had to work with. But yeah, we are done. You know, it took a little bit longer than I anticipated to put this thing back together, and I think that's because I ran into a few hangups. First off, and probably the thing that took me the longest, was the wiring harness. The original wiring harness that I had for this thing, I discovered, was not originally from a red tent. I believe it came from the upright version, because if you'll remember, there's more than one version of this system. There's an upright model, which is like a full-size cabinet, and that, I think the wiring is a bit different, because typically it wouldn't be very hard to put the wiring back together, because when these things come out of the factory, they're all zip tied together and kind of molded into place. And because the wiring is so tight, especially over the years, the wiring harness kind of forms to how it's laid in. And so typically, these things can only go back together one way. Well, as I was putting this together, I discovered that the wiring harness was not laid out the way that it should be. In fact, I was getting confused with how even the edge connectors went to the PCB, and I soon discovered that, hey, this probably didn't come out of a red tent. So it was kind of a guessing game. I had to kind of puzzle things together and figure out what the most efficient way was to lay this wiring harness inside the game. And so that took me quite some time. And I can tell you, it's probably not as neat as an original harness, like if this unit came out of the factory, but it's close. It's really clean. It's I cleaned up all the wiring. I zip tied everything together. It's very neat. There's no wires get in the way of anything, so it's pretty nice. It's not perfect, but it does the job. I'm pretty happy with it. The next hang up I had was I wanted to put these light bulbs in for the coin slots. Most games have these, and these coin mechs are no different. These coin slots, they have a space for where the light goes, and I had an idea originally in my head of how I was going to do it, but I soon discovered that when I put the light where I wanted it to, it got in the way. It got in the way of the coin reject button. When you push the button in, it triggers a little, kind of like a little plastic hammer to push down and eject the coin. Well, these light bulbs that I wanted to use were getting in the way, so I had to kind of change my course of thinking, and I found a really good alternative placement. I had to use a different type of LED that was thinner, but it worked out really nice, and I like that little touch. Yeah, it's not original, but I just don't understand why these coin slots don't have lights. So I added those, but that took me longer. And I also had to tweak it took me longer to tweak the monitors, particularly this Sanyo monitor that you can see Super Mario playing on. The adjustments as far as like the horizontal width, I had to really crank on the width coil to get it to stretch. I even had to turn up the B+ like a volt or two, just to get it to fill the picture the way I wanted it to. So I always spend a ton of time on monitors, and this was no exception. But otherwise, everything for the most part went together pretty well. It took me a little while to figure out these coin locks, but otherwise it was pretty straightforward, and I can't be happier. I couldn't be more pleased with this. So it is just such a relief to be done with this thing and move on to another project. Actually, just to be able to play this. I haven't even sat down and played a game yet, just to test the game out. So I'm looking forward to now, hunting down for some games for this, and just being able to play the damn thing. But yeah, I don't know what's next. I'll probably work on my eyes machine, but that probably won't be for a few months. So I may do a couple gameplay videos, but all in all, I am just relieved and happy as can be that this turned out the way it did. So anyways, I just want to thank you for watching this series. This is, the last restoration video. So thanks for sticking with it, subscribing, all that jazz. I appreciate you watching. So take it easy, and I'll see you the next time.